Okay, fantastic. Thanks for the introduction. So yes, my name is Matthew Cunliffe from Sitedesk. So I'm here to have a bit of a brief chat about sort of asset information model delivery and legacy estate information capture. Obviously kind of a bit of a sort of sales spielish to a certain extent. So digital logbooking. I think we get a little bit BIM echo chambered when we come to these events. We start obviously talking about things and we forget that we're in our little sort of ivory tower and can get very complicated. But we've got to remember, all this is for the end user. And if the end user can't use it, sort of what's the point of having that 3D sexy model? So we need to make sure that we keep things simple. Great, love that phrase, by the way. Took it out of mine, damn you. But yeah, let's keep it simple and stupid so the end user can actually use that beautiful data that we've created. So this is where we come up with digital logbooking with our sort of Sitedesk platform. But before that, who am I? Why do I think I know what I think I know? So for 15 years-ish, I've been managing a BIM outsourcing company called Yorkad. Revit-based, obviously, because Autodesk are on the market now pretty much. Specialising in MEP delivery, especially with SME MEP contractors, sort of stage 4, stage 6, so used to that kind of handover element, dealing with people on the ground and being able to get them actually using things. Very early on in the engagements, we always try and get in touch with the FM. Do we want to make sure the stuff we're providing is actually useful? Is this asset information requirement definitely right? How are you going to use it at the end of it? So we have that beautiful experience of Kobe. Yes, still the word, still has to be there. VR involvement, we started using that quite early with our end users to make sure what we have in that ceiling void is maintainable. They can get in there, they like it that way. Reality capture exploitation, point cloud is amazing, especially for MEP. Is that pop-up definitely there? Great, it means the IPS isn't moving, brilliant. MMC, beautiful sort of term coming out now. Did a fantastic delivery down for Bass Rotherham, doing a lot of off-site creation. Fantastic job that was. So the other side, one of my other sort of hats. So I'm a Royal Engineer in the British Army Reserve. For the unit, I'm the Information Manager and also Digital Innovation Senior NCO. Do a lot of Revit training with them, sort of they're right behind the curve, so we're trying to get them back onto that sort of wagon. Deploying reality captures, obviously we've got a lot of estate that we manage, so it's getting that reality capture from abroad so we can bring it back locally and be able to do things with it. Contracts and asset management experience. So this is where I've been able to gain some actual end user experience rather than just being in that kind of BIM ivory tower doing outsourcing at a CAD company. This is where I've been able to see how things are actually getting used, how people actually go and maintain, how they actually get their hands on things. Co-owner of a Reserve Innovation Working Group. I really like my sort of innovation, disruption and all that sort of good stuff. Been working with the HM government on the business, used to be BIS, now it's the Department of Business and Trade. So they're looking at asset resilience with some of the things that we have in the Royal Engineers, call it critical national infrastructure and how we can assess things to make sure things are going. So looking at the kind of big data on that side. GIS insights, data governance insights. So you know what? I'll stop blowing my own trumpet now. Just hopefully gives you some sort of insight to who I am and hopefully I'm not just talking complete and utter rubbish. So during my journey, what are the issues I've found? Right, data schema deliveries, great. We're dropping a Kobe out, but are they going to use it or has somebody just put Kobe into it because they think that's BIM level 2? It's like, is that the right schema? Is it going into Maximo? Do we need to adjust it, etc.? But that's pretty much all that gets used pretty much on the FM side at the moment with the traditional systems that are in place. Existing building asset management systems don't support 3D models or they're sort of not used to it, especially if they're kind of small, medium sort of FM products. The OPEX budget, certainly for like small schools and stuff, they can't afford to deploy an actual big sort of nice 3D space with all singing and dancing things. The technical resource. So this is that kind of culture gap of the people on the ground, Bob the building maintainer, actually using this sort of space and all this great technical stuff that we produced, but he's still trying to get his 10-year-old to show him how to use an iPad maybe. Maybe they don't understand what they can get out of the model. How can they use that to actually maintain their building? They're still sort of behind the curve on that a bit, I think. Current systems, you know what? I'm using SharePoint. I'm used to my O&Ms on a CD. I'm going to leave it like that. I don't really want to change things. If it ain't broke, I'm not fixing it. I don't want to deploy new things. Keep it simple, stupid in a way. So they're the things I've sort of found on my journey. So obviously a little bit sort of my experience base, which I appreciate. So why do I think Sitedesk can create this sort of digital logbook? So how we go about things is we are pretty much about the 3D space and then being able to bring overlays into it. So we go through sort of 4 stages. Obviously, you have to have your capture. We don't do the capture. Go out and get it yourself, whether it's your reality capture, whether it's your building information model delivery, it's your IFC, etc. Bring that into us, browser-based, so obviously no on-site installation, which is a lot of companies' big things, getting it past their InfoSec, etc. Start locating your things, start isolating things, start understanding how you want to use that building, start using it through the building. So actually start using that 3D model now, updating the information as you go more directly in a very keep it simple approach. And then more importantly, advance it. We don't want this to be a kind of dead end. We want to make sure that that grows with the client. They're able to bring in more systems, start bringing their IoT systems, start bringing in their Maximo interface, etc. And then actually start collaborating with people more. Because at the end of the day, tech isn't a solo trade. We have to reach out to people, engage with people, and make sure we create this good space. So, post-BIM deliveries. So we have been using it on some sort of schools, but again, we've sort of seen the BIM side. Backtrack there. Missed that a bit, sorry. Big one for me is, right, old school. I'm used to a CD of all my O&Ms, but I want to use a 3D model now. So let's attach that commissioning certificate for the heat extract system to the full extract system, creating a nice sort of 3D schematic in a way through the building, so they understand where the fire dampers are, if that valve goes off, how it's going to isolate the rest of the building. But importantly, actually attaching the document to that full system. So I did skip there, apologies. Can check out the demo in a bit. But for instance, if I've got the ventilation system selected, I can see the document for the commissioning certificate. If I click the air terminal in the system, I can see the OEM for the actual air terminal as well. Why isn't that playing? Is that going to play? Yes, cool. So the other side, most of our infrastructure is existing. Okay, great stuff that we're doing BIM now, etc. We're starting to get data-rich models through, but most of our existing stuff is already there, obviously. For me, I think it's very important we start getting end users capturing their actual estate as it is, start building up their digital picture about how they want to maintain, start bringing their knowledge set, their skills of using that space, and start getting it into a sort of digital space. Start creating that golden thread of data. So then the next time, when they're looking at actually creating a BIM deliverable, they know what they want. They're not being told what they think they want, but they'll be able to dictate then. So reality captures for us, bring them in. Point cloud, obviously fantastic. Love working with them. Start building up your data on top of it. But a real key one for me, especially with my sort of BIM background, is this multi-model environment. So, for instance, we've done a delivery for some hospitals, a trust up in York. They wanted to do a full scan to BIM. So me with my BIM company is like, woohoo, 22 hospitals, scan to BIM, get in. However, when they got the costs, obviously, their operating expenditure definitely was not within that budget. So we went to them and said, well, why do you need a full data-rich model of your estate? I mean, we don't know what's in that wall, so we're only going to put a generic wall in there. So why not just use your reality capture alongside some data-rich elements? So what we did was we brought in the point cloud into Revit. We just traced around all the rooms, so we created a room space in there. So we started adding a little bit more data-rich element on top of the dumb geometry so that they could start expanding it. So the next step for them, they're going to start tracing through their wet systems, put in their domestic water systems. So then in the reality capture model, they can see above the ceiling void the actual pipework that's in there and be able to sort of dig into it. But on the other side, as they're going, they can start capturing their estate on the reality capture with extra information that they then can get pushed back. So big thing for us, I hate spinning the word digital twin, especially Digital Construction Week. It's everybody's buzzword now, like commercial sales, like everybody's got to have it. Working with the Housing Association at the moment, they kept saying they've got their reality capture point cloud. I've got my digital twin. It's like, no, you don't. You've got a reality capture. It's not a digital twin. I think we're very far off it yet. Maybe digital shadow sort of there, but we've got to get up to that at some point. So our goal really is, let's get on that first step. Start using your 3D data. Start building it up. Then when you're ready, start plugging in extra things. So bring your IoT in. Bring it into your CAF-FM. Start bringing your analytics in. Start growing it, but plug and play, not one big solution. So we have a ecosystem called SEAM, Smart Enterprise Asset Management System, doing a lot with sort of trust to give them that piecemeal approach, so they're not going all in, trying to capture everything. It's grow their digital twin at their own pace, so they're not all of a sudden culturally out of depth with what they're dealing with, and it allows them to be able to grow and understand what they're doing better. So. Let's get that. Right, quite quick, as I say, I didn't want to sort of bore you all. Now I'm probably way ahead of time, 10 minutes, so everybody gets a bit of a break. So that's how great I am. I appreciate I did talk quite fast, But obviously, if you've got any questions, although we have the panel later, obviously, but if you've got any questions on that specifically, am I okay to use that time, or? Yeah? Okay. No, that's fine then. Okay, thank you very much, all.
Thanks, Matt.
Cheers.
Very much.
Cheers.